have to cry no more.
I tell you, we won't church.
I won't have to cry no more.
Hi, and welcome to another production of KISS. Keep it simple, sir. Senor, senorita, sisters, saints of God. It's always a pleasant thing to come into your home, wherever you may be viewing us this time, YouTube, with the special things that we have from the community of Dayton. We call the city beautiful, the gem city. And we have expressed and showed so many gems, the carrots, right here amongst us in Dayton, Ohio. And I love, and what we're about going to now, we impromptu going to do something for you today. Have one of our outstanding citizens here, none other than Mr. Godfrey Freeman. And if you talk about the who's who, a lot of times we don't know the people that live right around us. And sometimes we need to be able to tell our own story. And being able to help others get footnotes and understand maybe something that we may say benefits you in your life. A lot of times people feel like, I can't do that. Or I'm just, my background, I don't have a silver spoon. I'm not allowed to do this. They don't let me do this or that. But I'm afraid, even here with Mr. Freeman, today you would learn we all started out the same. We all had to put our efforts in. We all had to learn. Everything about life is a learning experience. And I trust some of the things that we will share today with Mr. Freeman, that you at home to realize you can do it too. One of my favorite things is the slogan that Mr. Obama went through his entire campaign was, yes, we can. And what I want to tell you today, yes, you can. Praise God. Now I'm going to let Mr. Freeman introduce a little bit briefly about himself, and even maybe the arts, and we're going to get a little details coming up as a young man in Dayton, Ohio, and the places we've been and how we interact with the community. Communication was my major, so I don't know. I guess I'm just talking. But I hope something that I say be or reflect or help someone make that step forward to where you're trying to go in your personal life. Mr. Freeman, what you want to share with me today?
Well, like you, I am a native of Dayton, Ohio. I attended Jackson Elementary School, but you know, that's over off Gettysburg, and that's no longer there. I think the primary school is still there.
Okay.
And then for high school, when they started busing, I was bused to Fairview.
Okay.
A year later, transferred from there to Meadowdale. And I graduated very early. During my earlier years, I was involved in track, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I was, I think I got a ribbon for the fourth best in the entire city for track.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, believe it or not, can't tell it not, but I did some track myself once upon a time. In fact, one of my cousins, I don't know if you know Albert Jones, he was cross country, really put Dayton on the map in cross country back in the day with David Albritton when he was the coach there at Dunbar.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So, yes, we have a lot of great things. But going from anything in your early life that you like to folks, when did you first start working in the city, or was you a newspaper boy, or what were some of the basic things you did interacting socially?
Very early on, I think my first job was delivering papers. Yeah,
Okay.
delivering papers in the community. You know, but I was very young. I didn't understand what work was. You know, I just knew that I was delivering papers and got paid, I think at that time, 50 cents or something like that. Yeah, and so I found it like my interest expanded when I went to high school and to college. So I actually graduated a year early from high school, from Meadowdale.
Okay.
And I had these ambitions about going to New York to be an actor.
Okay.
So I took a trip and I went to New York, and I saw that the primary product on Broadway were musicals at the time. And I prepared myself to be a musical theater artist.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went back and forth, coming back to Ohio, going between Ohio and New York, and studying acting, studying dancing, studying singing. And I decided that the three of those disciplines that were the most difficult was the dancing part. Okay. So I joined the Dayton Contemporary Dance Company, danced with them for a year, returned to New York, and then I studied acting and classical dance. I was a ballet dancer for 13 years.
That was DC, we call it.
Yeah, DC
yes.
here,
yes.
Dayton.
Yes.
Yeah, before I then later went on to New York, returned to New York, and was a independent ballet dancer for 13 years there.
Tell me what you think. I know we did travel ourselves in different areas, military and I did, but the change from a small city like Dayton, Ohio, and going to a big city like New York, what are some of the basic social change you noticed from going from a gym city, small city, to a big city? Some of the basic things that you remember first up going.
Well, I think the first thing I remember is that, it wasn't daunting to me, and I wasn't afraid. Mm-hmm. It was a large city population, and it was a very diverse city as well. Uh-huh. So my curiosity, I was there to explore, I was there to learn, and I actually learned a great deal and encountered a lot of people from all over the world, and they invited me into their lives, and I learned a great deal from them. Yeah. Both personally and professionally.
Okay. Until lately, I look here, now Dayton has many cultures or nationalities, but back then, New York was one of the places, California, those are some of the places where you had multicultural. And so being able to blend in and understand and learn, mm-hmm. I think we had talked sometimes, even foreigners look at Americans as being arrogant. Mm-hmm. Did you notice when you began to interact with other nationalities and your dancing and your arts and being able to sort of learn cultural difference? When I say cultural difference, people say, well, we're all in the United States, but from city to city, there's a vast amount of change in cultural differences.
There is. When I left the Midwest uh-huh. and went to the East Coast, uh-huh. there were differences in language. There were differences in customs. Uh-huh. And I remember one in particular when I first went to New York. Here in the Midwest, we say pop. Can you give me a pop? I want a pop. Yes. Well, on the East Coast, they say a soda. Uh-huh. I want a soda. So when I got there and I asked for a pop, they didn't know what I was talking about. Yeah, so, but then again, you have, people from all over the world who, it's a transient place, who come and go, in the area. So in the building that I lived in particularly, I was there for 33 years. Okay. And the last building that I lived in, there were 106 units in the building, and I think there were about 60 different languages that were spoken. So there's a blend of language, there is a blend of culinary, of food, and I think that was probably one of my favorite parts, was to interact and eat these dishes from people who came from different countries and different worlds, and then to learn how to prepare those dishes myself, and also to learn the languages. You're learning it through immersion a lot of the times. Now, I had studied Spanish and French. I studied French in high school, and I studied Spanish in college. And then later, when I went to New York, I found that the Spanish really served me because there was a large Spanish-speaking population in New York.
I got the heads up on that.
Yes, yes.
But a lot of times the old gossip or tales that we hear sometimes that New York was unfriendly city. Did you feel that was unfriendly, or was it a diversity of backgrounds that they weren't able to communicate What would be your take when you first got there? Do you feel like it was an unfriendly place? We always hear the Big Apple, but
Well, what I came to later learn was that it wasn't necessarily unfriendly. It's that things moved very quickly in New York. So, in the Midwest, it's a little slower paced. So the New Yorkers are moving very quickly because they have a lot to accomplish and a lot to get in a day in such a small space. Whereas in the Midwest, you kind of take your time and, you can get from point A to point B without the traffic jams and with all of these other things that are distracting you.
yes,
And so a lot of the times in the process to get through their day, they're going faster and faster. They don't have time to stop or won't take the time to stop, to indulge a person or to spend a lot of time on this or that because they've already charted out where they need to be at a certain time. And if anything gets in the way of that, it's going to delay them. So I think that that's kind of the perception that people have when they say that it's unfriendly. It's not unfriendly, it's just that things move at a very rapid pace there. Versus the Midwest and other areas, say on the West Coast as well.
in the Midwest, I guess it's something like we in the Midwest. We look at the Southerners and see how they are satisfied, jokingly we said, sit on their porch and watch a caterpillar cross the road.
Right.
So basically that's just a different cultural background we look at. And I remember when I was in New York, the New Jersey area, they often, when they found out I was from Ohio, they said I was from the country. I said, I'm not from the country, I'm from a city. Oh, that's country. But the perception of Ohio, and then I guess later, I realized that we is part of the Corn Belt. And so the rest of the country do look at Ohio as being a country, rather versus the Big Apple, as you know as well, and as you travel a bit. The Big Apple in New York is a city, but also New York has country land. The state of New York has country.
The state of New York has its rural areas as well,
yes,
and its open spaces and its land. Although, the population is a lot more dense
yes,
up on the eastern coast, along the eastern coast. It has that, and there is the perception, I guess, if you've grown up in the busy city, anything that is slower than that will maybe seem like the country to you.
Yes.
So the perception, when I was there, I think a lot of the people and a lot of my acquaintances kind of confused Ohio with Iowa, and they kind of lumped it together.
yes.
And, they had this perception of it being farmland and everything, and there is a lot of farmland, but there are also major cities as well. And I think the more that you familiarize yourself with that and you travel, I think you begin to change your perspectives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Become a little bit more open-minded to receive and understand.
Become open-minded, dispel a lot of myths, and I found, getting back to your original question, I found that New York welcomed me. And I had to make adjustments. So that's where you kind of have to humble yourself and say, okay, I'm not here to project onto the city, I'm here to learn from it.
Yes.
So once I understood that, okay, I'm gonna be faced with a lot of different cultures and different experiences and different viewpoints and different ways of doing things, and I need to learn that and I need to adapt to it because it's not necessarily going to adapt to me. So I carry that with me no matter where I travel. Okay. I always try to humble myself to learn from what they have to teach.
Okay. Yeah, and I think a lot of times people say if you live in Dayton, you can live anywhere in the world. And making adjustments, I guess. We are pretty much, I find, able to adjust when we get out of our what word I want to say?
Our normal,
Yes.
our normal routines.
Or how we was raised. What, I know I never asked before, but as far as church religion, did you know any difference from the Midwestern to the Big Apple area, or?
Well, for the most part, I was raised in a church here, Central Baptist Church, in Jefferson Township. And when I went to New York, there were various religions. And I began to study. I had, acquaintances in college who were in theology. And I began to study the various forms of religion because I believed at the time that, when I was raised in the Baptist church, you didn't question anything. You didn't explore other religions because that was perceived as
taboo?
Yeah, a lot of it was taboo. And so what I found in terms of the religious aspects, because of the variety of people that I was encountering and their customs and coming from all over the world, there were different religions that I learned about. I learned about Buddhism. I learned about Santeria, and there were other religions as well. I wasn't afraid of them. I didn't fear them, but I wanted to learn about them.
Yes.
And so I encountered people, and a lot of the misinformation and the mythology that surrounded that from a Western perspective. There was a balance or a re-education there. And so while I would not necessarily consider myself a part of those religions, I can take the best parts of them and use that as part of my guide. So I can embrace, I'm basically ecumenical, so I want to learn from all religions and all perspectives, and not just solely isolate myself to one perspective. So I want to keep an open mind about that.
And understand the potatoes and potatoes is the same.
Yeah, understand. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting because a lot of times those that have not traveled, even there are people that are afraid to travel because of the difference and not being able to fit in, as they call it. But I often found being myself, I guess I'm just an extra communicative type of person, being yourself is the most important thing.
It is. That's the only way that people can really get to know you, is to be yourself and to be who you are. Now, at the same time, you have to allow other people to be themselves and to be who they are, and not project so much of your values or your customs onto them, but blend them with other cultures so that it's a shared experience. So they're giving, you're receiving, you're giving, they're receiving.
It's all about understanding. And I think sometimes we get some hard-headed or set in our ways, so to speak, that it's our way or the highway, the old saying say. And that sort of have a closed mentality, and it causes us to suffer more than it is to grow in any area.
Absolutely. I think that in that respect, I think that you can create your own suffering, just because of your outlook, or if you're unwilling to expand your experiences, expand your growth, then that's going to create some issues for you. You don't have to change your core person, but just understand that not everyone is going to do or act the way that you want them to or expect them to, and that you'll learn a great deal more if you allow yourself to experience their worlds.
Exactly. And it means so much. And I love because you have traveled, and hopefully a lot of times the people that have never traveled would grab something from our little talk here or whatever, impromptu. Because the thing is, what people fear is the unknown.
Absolutely.
And we have to be willing to, as well, be willing to learn as well as to share our values and be honest about our values. And I think that bring the whole together and understand. It's all about understanding. A lot of things that you hear the old, what was it about the Hatfields and the McCoys? Mm-hmm. They was at war and they was family war, but it got that they didn't even know what the war was about. They didn't know where it started, but it is where we always done it.
Over time,
yes.
You forget what you're fighting about.
Exactly.
Instead of embracing what you have in common.
Yes. Yeah. And I find that thing even in church. Now, the different denominations, and when you really began to break down and understand, it's not that we're competitive. A tomato is a tomato. But it enriches you to see it from a different perspective. And I guess I said it because on a biblical station, but the gospel, the four gospels in the beginning of the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they're telling the same story from different perspectives. Luke, he was a physician. Matthew, a tax collector. So we find their writings reflect their background and talking about the same thing from different perspectives.
From different perspectives and different angles. And I think that that is probably a very good lesson to learn, is that no event occurs in a vacuum. Mm. Events are viewed from different angles and different perspectives.
Yes.
So before you reach an opinion about something, it's always good to get as many perspectives and view it from as many angles as possible, so that you can be confident in your viewpoint. Yes. And the decisions that you make.
I know you said we don't want to get in politics, but that's one of the big things even today.
Yes.
A lot of times they take Gallup polls or control polls. The people are saying and think the way they think. And it really does the voter a disservice to be able to look across the board and see what is best for them and their community without just bandwagon on a particular, I know I'm getting in trouble.
It's okay.
A particular area, and that calls us more to be tunnel vision in our life, because we don't want to hear truth or different. It's way I believe, and that's the way it is. And that keep us in such a antiquated mentality.
Well, the daily experiences that you and I have on a regular basis aren't reflective of what's projected to us in the media. Okay. You know, and the media often presents a snapshot. Mm-hmm. And the snapshot is often indicative of a particular viewpoint or agenda.
Yes.
So I take all of that information with a grain of salt, because as these polls are being conducted, I'm rarely contacted to give my opinion about the polls. You know, there are various population groups within the country who aren't considered. Seems to me to be a very elite sampling of the population, and from different quarters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't pay much attention to the polls because they don't often get it right. But I do pay attention to what is going on in a daily basis in the interactions that I have with people, and I find that people are very respectful.
Okay. And that's what we talk about the real world.
Yes.
Versus the projected. I know you was in arts of acting.
Exactly.
But it has so many daily actors, they don't realize they're acting not a part of who they really are, but what they feel they are expected to do or be.
Exactly. Exactly. And so I prefer, and I think that the public would benefit if they got various viewpoints from the entire spectrum of the population and not just focus on a very limited viewpoint. So, yeah.
Well, you're more enriched as you began to learn the difference and the cultures, and beyond that, the why, the understanding, the who, the where, and the why, and you was able to better appreciate that individual.
You are. But again, if you limit yourself to a particular region or a particular viewpoint, particular group that reinforces what you already believe, and don't allow yourself to hear another perspective, then you stunt your own growth.
Exactly.
You know, and again, back to the theme of creating your own suffering. You create your own suffering when you do that.
Yes.
And you want the information that there's a lot of information out there that you receive, but you want the information that you receive to be fact-based, factual information.
Yes.
You know, and again, you can view facts even, you know, I mean, from different angles,
yes.
you know, but generally you're going to have to come to the same conclusion, but all of the other stuff that's out there is a lot of noise.
Yes.
So you kind of have to have a filter as far as that's concerned. You have to have an open mind, but also have a filter.
Most definitely.
Yes.
Most definitely. You don't have a filter, you might really get into some trouble.
Right, right.
Being able to understand. You know, I was thinking that I know DC is a very well-known group to come out of Dayton, but versus leaving DC and going to New York, what is some of the difference in the dance and so forth that you exposed? You did ballet for 13 years.
Well, you know, there really was not too much of a gap because a lot of the New York choreographers came to work with the dancers at DC. So there was already that introduction.
Okay.
And so once I got there, you know, I kind of had acquaintances and a network. And when I arrived there, I went to Alvin Ailey and I studied at Alvin Ailey, and then I did a work study program at Alvin Ailey as well. And so from there, it expanded to, you know, other institutions. And I have to say that, again, I was welcomed, you know, I was received well, and I really, you know, learned a lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Was there a variety of nationalities more there in New York that you grasped and grew from than was here locally, or?
What I found that there was a level of expertise. For example, every summer, it was like New York became the dance mecca. And so dancers and companies would come from all around the world to take master classes, or if their companies were performing, they would come and perform and then take classes. So there was a blend and a mix of people from all over the world. And the universal language of ballet in particular is French. So that you can travel anywhere in the world and take a ballet class because the universal language is French.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I had an experience where I went to the Dominican Republic on vacation, and I was there for, I think, a month with an acquaintance of mine. And I went to take a class at the National Ballet there. Okay. And I was able to do that. The language, the official language of the Dominican Republic is Spanish, of course. But I was able to participate and take part in that class because the universal language of ballet is French.
Okay.
So it didn't matter where you are, you're going to be able to participate and do that and experience the culture because there is a certain level of understanding.
Yes, yes. And I'm interested, I guess communication was my main thing that I love, even from a youngster. And back into what I think about church religion, I don't think the Baptists did a whole lot of shouting and dancing at the Pentecostal.
Well, I have to say, I'm kind of fond of that. I'm guilty of the of having or liking more the singing and the revival.
Okay.
And the word is important, and I enjoy that. But I have to say, I have an affinity for the singing, the creativity there.
Yes, yes. And I think about the difference when you go. Even when I think about Israel, or when we talk about the dances, we talk about the Red Sea and Moses and Miriam went into a dance when they were successful on the other end. It's not the type of dancing that we might be accustomed to. And as you went to different countries, I noticed a big difference. There's a lot of difference right here in the States. But when you go to places like Germany, where a lot of the Bible was written and so forth, the way they participate and the way they dance, the cultural difference is so rich and beautiful. It's not what you expect, and maybe something you've been accustomed to. But then you said having an open mind to be able to understand culturally why and how. And when you understand the thought process, it's crazy. I said it as a comedian once when I was doing a comedy routine. I said, but I was in part of Germany and I had become so involved, I forgot I was black. I forgot I was African American. We were speaking to, have you had experience you got caught up in a society like, say, in Rome, you like the Romans do, to the point when you lose out on your culture, not that you just got rid of it, but you become so engulfed and beginning to want to understand that it actually become a part of you for a period of time there.
Well, when in Rome, do like the Romans. I guess that answers that. But what I would say is that the quickest way to access a culture is through language, music, and food.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I participated in all of those. So I was welcomed into those communities. And I'm the richer for it.
Okay. I was thinking with the, not Percy Sledge, it was the African American song Country for so long. I'm trying to remember his name.
Is it Charlie Pride?
Charlie Pride. And he sounded so country and he sounds so much like the people that they wouldn't put his face on an album cover because they wouldn't sell. But as long as they heard his voice, it showed that how we're conditioned to like or dislike certain things. But if I talk to a British man, if he was African descendant, on the telephone, you could not tell him for a regular, any other European British person. For he was bloody right as well as the other.
Well, it's very interesting about that because I remember the first time that I visited London, in England. I was there visiting schools. I was planning to attend one of the universities there. And so I went to this one school and I was asking for what we in America call a college catalog.
Okay.
In England, they call it a prospectus.
Okay.
And I made a comment. I didn't understand what the person was telling me because they were talking about a prospectus and I was talking about a catalog. And I said, oh, I misunderstood your accent. I'm in their country and I'm telling him he has an accent in his own country. That his accent is supposed to be the American accent as the standard. So, that was a learning moment for me because I had to just step back a minute and say, wait a minute, you're in their country and this is how they speak with this particular accent, and the world does not orient itself towards your country. So that was my little ugly American episode.
Wake up.
There.
Someone told me it was American somewhere, I forget what country it was, and the father with his family become irritated with the people. He said, why don't these people speak English? These foreigners are something else. His daughter looked at and said, Dad, we are the foreigners.
Exactly. And I see that kind of experience, and I see that happening even today among a lot of people. It's like, well, they should learn to speak this language. Well, the fact is that in many other countries they speak multiple languages.
Yes.
And that the United States really does not have an official language.
Yeah.
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 So, and I think that again, if you open yourself up to learning about other languages and other cultures, you'll be surprised at what you learn and how much you're enriched by it.
Yes. And they say we speak English, but we speak American.
Yeah, well, English is spoken in various countries,
Yes.
and, just because they're speaking English doesn't mean that they don't have a different accent, and you may not be able to understand them.
Right.
So, you can understand them to a degree, but, again, there are going to be references, cultural references that are going to exist that are different than what you understand them to be.
And we always thought Britain spoke perfect English until I got a chance to visit. Britain is full of so much slang in their English as well.
Yeah, and there are regional differences in speech and in language, just as there are regional differences in speech and language here in this country. The Southerners have a particular accent and certain terms that they use, and the Northerners and the New Englanders and the West Coast people, they also have different, terminology and different accents. So, yeah, there's a variety no matter where you are in any country, and I don't know that there is a such thing as perfect English.
But I was thinking, I don't know if you ever got there to more the Orthodox speaking English people in England, but I began to listen to them, so I picked up a bit of German. And actually, those old Orthodox English speakers sound more Deutsch than they did the English. They spoke English from their throat. And that's basically what Deutsch spoke that way. And I asked the Catholic historian once about this. She said, I think at one time they were interaction marriage one way or the other. It was some same people that reason they speak the same. But when I look at American language, I often say, we speak a universal language. Almost every language in the world is somewhere in so-called the American English language.
And the lexicon and the root of the Latin roots.
Yes.
Well, when I think the early settlers in this country, there were more German speakers than there were English speakers, which is why you have a lot of German names, associated with different locations.
Yes.
But yeah, opening yourself up to the language and to the cuisines of the country actually is a good way to access and get into the cultures.
Yes. And then we don't be so critical and prejudiced because we don't understand something.
Right.
And I'm glad we talked in the hall there, we talked about, we could talk about travel. Because both the culture and a lot of times people fear going abroad because they're not willing to adjust and understand the brother or the other on the other side of the river.
Well, so much of the information that you get is, kind of negative about how, this place is a bad place or whatever. And what I've always said to people is no place is as bad as where you are.
Okay.
You get your advisories or whatever, and you learn about it, but any place that you go, the same things that you're going to encounter there for the most part, you're going to encounter here. And you're not going for that purpose. So, you probably won't even be affected by it, but you do have to kind of keep your eyes and ears open, and be aware of your surroundings in some places that you visit.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's not as I guess, overwhelming or intimidating as you might think it is.
I feel a lot of times here as our group coming up, it was a disservice to us that we wasn't open to other language. And that's one thing I learned when I was overseas. The little children could speak 2 and 3 languages. I mean, children under 10 years old. And where in our country, my experience, like you mentioned, you go to French in one of the high school, that's the only time we was allowed to learn, in high school, French, comment allez-vous, mademoiselle? Oh, oui, oui, monsieur. Oh, you got an A. That's not conversation, that's not learning the language.
It's limited, and
Yes.
you know, like if you're immersed into, say, for example, if you took a trip and you spent, say, a couple of weeks or a month there, you would be amazed at how much of the language you pick up in a very short period of time.
Yes.
You know, there are colloquialisms and everything that you're not necessarily taught in a class. And I'll say there was an example when I did travel, for example, to the Dominican Republic. A friend of mine there was an English teacher who taught English to Spanish kids.
Okay.
So he wanted me to go in as part of their exam and have conversations with them in English.
Okay.
You know, because there was a difference in being a native Dominican and speaking English
Yes.
versus being a Native American and speaking English.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And sort of laugh at that when others may come here. You speak English? Me speak English? And you just sort of laugh, oh, okay. Me speak good English. So I could imagine how we found something sometime picking up in the language in the other countries, and you know that it's a beautiful experience to me. I felt being able to interact with them, and I learned in most countries, if you attempt to speak the language, they'll meet you more than halfway.
They will, absolutely.
But if you go with the attitude, you speak English or speak my language or forget you, well, you already set yourself up for a bad experience.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Now we talk about a little travel, we talk about the religion, we talk about your dance, but you also mentioned that you also did acting in your career. You're an actor.
I did. I had studied acting in college. I attended 3 colleges, actually. So I attended Ohio State for a year, and I was an acting major there.
Okay.
And then I transferred to Antioch College. I was there for 3 years. And I really did enjoy that experience, because a part of that experience was not having everything done for you, but going out into the community and creating.
Okay.
And then they took the same approach, because it was a liberal arts college, but a work study college. So you had field work or field study, so you could travel anywhere in the world.
Okay.
And they would arrange or make arrangements for you to either study or work in that particular place. So I had experience the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater in New York City as part of one of my internships, and then later became a student there as well. And so, yes, I did some acting jobs. They were minor jobs here and there.
Okay.
But yeah, I had studied that throughout my college, and I got my college degree in theater as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and think those some things we don't understand. I guess that's why we're here too. Who is Geoffrey Freeman? Because a lot of people work right around us. I believe Clarence Young was one of the actors here. He didn't do a lot of great parts. I don't know if you knew Clarence Young or not.
I don't believe that.
He always a part of Theater West, something he had here in Dayton years ago.
I'm familiar with Theater West. Yes.
Over there, he was part of that in the Old Palace Theater. He had some acting in some movies, but there was no major roles. But yet and still, right amongst we have special people. That you any particular fillers or in film or movies that you may have participated in over the years?
Well, I mean, over the time, nothing major. I've done small television spots for friends who were producers or had television shows. I appeared maybe Entertainment Tonight, I think, at one point. I was filmed for that. New York Views was a program that I was also filmed for. Again, that was as part of my dance career, so when I was doing that. I did have an audition for Sidney Poitier for one of his films that he was making, and a few others, but nothing really that hit big. But yeah.
That's big. It's all a part of it.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah.
what people don't realize. If it wasn't for the little part, the rest of the part wouldn't work.
Yeah, but I also I attended Hunter College in New York City as well, and so I did take a solo performance class
Okay.
with Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee. Ruby Dee was teaching the class, and Ozzy was available to substitute for her whenever she was out. But yeah, I did have that experience as well.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
and I had to pull it out of you, right? Those things not understand, unless sometimes people don't talk about those things, and so that's why it says always necessary that we tell our story, because how many times that in the African Elders Council we refer to every time a senior passed, we lose a whole library
Yes, yes,
of information.
that's correct.
Because it wasn't in the string line, it wasn't in the big lights. My sister's a writer, she wrote books, she wrote about 10 books, but she's been telling me lately she have a little phrase she called camera eyes. The little children see things, but they're never in a position to write or share what they think. But yet it was important. In shaping those camera eyes is always someone, old song is saying years, somebody's watching you. Whether big, small, or unimportant person, eyes are on you somewhere. And it's affecting someone by whatever we do.
Well, you know, there were a lot of experiences and a lot of people that I met, and I later, you know, when I kind of transitioned away from the acting, I went into working as a paralegal for some of the top law firms as well. But all of that experience, I say that to say that all of that experience that I had prior kind of served me when I became a paralegal. And one of the experiences that I also may not have mentioned as well is that I was personal assistant for Peter Yarrow, who was a part of the group Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Okay.
Yeah, so that experience was another great experience that I had. He was also a producer and produced various shows or whatever. So, you know, I was getting all of that knowledge, you know, from all of those experiences that served me going forward.
Enrich you.
Enrich me as well.
And I try to share that with so many of our younger people. I said, do you realize, absorb everything that is about you. It may not be your direction in your profession or your goal, but all of those little things that in your daily life, believe it or not, it serves when you get at a higher level.
Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does.
But don't throw away the little experiences. You feel pretty much where I'm on that.
Right, those are your building blocks.
Exactly.
You know, and you're on a path that you may not necessarily be aware of.
Okay.
But all of those little experiences kind of inform and shapes the person that you become.
Exactly.
And they all have value.
Yes. So we throw nothing away, but we take it all and filter it into, and like I said many times, did you do any songwriting? I know you mentioned singing and so forth.
Yeah, so I am a writer as well.
Okay.
So I've written poetry, I've written op-ed pieces that I've had published, and I have written a couple of books, a novel, play. So yeah, I'm.
I got to pull it out of you.
It's a part of the creativity.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's.
Yeah.
I think that was born in me, the creative aspect. So I always have to have an outlet for the creativity, and so I continue to do that as well. But I've done that throughout my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I write poetry sometimes too myself. But the thing is that most poetry is turned into songs that people don't realize. And a lot of times the people are unknown to actually the origin of some of that work. They hear the professional person bring it to the spotlight, but a lot of the people that wrote it and started the idea come from unknowns.
That's correct. You know, so, you know, and again, so much time has passed, you know, as we're having a conversation, I kind of have to, I'm reflecting on some things that I've done, or I've worked with certain people who've had, I think, much larger or bigger careers.
Yes.
So I'm reflecting on that. But you're absolutely right about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think, man, a lot of the great, I got into writing, a lot of the great songwriters, the thing that they were going to throw in the trash can as file 13, as we call it, was nothing. Somebody retrieved it. It was the top of the charts.
Yes.
And the thing they thought was going to be the top thing.
It flopped.
Yes.
Yeah. Or maybe it just wasn't its time. It
Yes.
wasn't of its time, you know, because you can create things or write things that maybe the public just isn't ready for.
Yes.
But at some point in the future,
There
they
it
will
is.
meet. Yeah, they will meet. And so, yeah.
And how many of the big artists have songs even today, even songs like the Beatles, and just like, not only that, what's his name, Michael Jackson, and they have songs that have never reached the public that was written years ago. But most people don't realize that it's a whole library of songs that have not been released because one reason or another, someone thought it wouldn't make it. And now the kids are doing a lot of remix from something that was taken years ago.
Right, or maybe that particular song may not have been right for that person at that time, you know, but it can still have life.
Yes.
And, you know, and the thing is, when you create something like you write a play or you create music or something like that, that lives forever.
Yes.
You know, and someone will discover it at some point.
Yes.
You know.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. It's beautiful. And communication is something I love. And even some of our studies, I don't know if you went to some of the areas, it was very interesting because one of the classes was telling us it's believed that our voice never stopped traveling. Not recorded, but never stopped traveling. I know one of the professors was saying, if we could have the right frequency and pick it up, we probably could hear the Gettysburg Address because the words never stopped traveling. And it wasn't recorded. Interesting when you begin to think along those lines. All that we say and we do, there's a record that continues to move, and it's a continual act, the creativity. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna get all tired.
Or it lives in
Yes.
someone somewhere.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and you don't know the reach of that.
Exactly.
Especially if you put it out there. You put it out there, you don't know who's moved by it or the reach of it. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I love in Bible study, I like for everybody to participate, not just the teacher. Because you see the different perspectives, the different areas, from their different backgrounds, enrich the entire lesson. I know we're probably getting close to the end, but in your own words, the big question, who is this young man? Godfrey Freeman. Who is Godfrey Freeman?
Godfrey Freeman is a creator. And I think that probably sums it up. That, you know, that's so much a part of who I am. And I'm always looking to create a better experience for everyone, and to validate everyone, and to learn from everyone. So Godfrey Freeman is a life learner.
Okay. And think about the master creator, made in his image, how can we not also
Absolutely.
enjoy creativity or creating? And like you know, in our writing, everything has already been said, but we just say the same thing in a different way.
We say it in a different way, or we put it in a different light.
As Solomon said, there's nothing new under the sun.
No, there isn't.
But it's interesting as we are able to rephrase and share. And if you would, as we get ready to close, as I say, this is a beautiful session. It's impromptu. It didn't take a lot of planning. It didn't take a lot of itinerary. But that is the beauty, I feel, in each and every one of us. Everyone have a story to share and to tell. And when we talk this, like yourself, I've mentioned things that you never thought about bringing forth. And sometimes my friends or family might be around me for years, and someone walk in our company and say something, and all of a sudden I light up and start talking. And they may look at me and say, you never told us that. You never asked the right question. It wasn't set for us to bring it forth at that time.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is a value in having an open forum. Absolutely.
Yes.
However, I would also say that there is an equal value to having a structure.
Yes.
And given my background, it's always been very structured and very disciplined. And so a lot of the times, I forget that sometimes you just sit and have a conversation just like we're doing.
Yes.
And there's greater value in that as well.
Yes, yes. And the thing is, when I did travel a bit, even military, I enjoyed sitting beside someone that was famous or known and not let them know I knew who they were. And they seemed to enjoy the beauty of being able to communicate to someone as a person, well, that someone always identifying with who you are, what you've done. And I think that puts some of them in a prison, famous or the celebrities. It put them in such a prison that they don't have the freedom just to be themselves.
Absolutely, and I've had many of those experiences as well. And yeah, because you're viewed from a celebrity standpoint, you're viewed in a different light, or you're placed on this pedestal, you know. And so, yeah, there's a time when you're just plain people.
Yes.
Plain people, that's it.
Yes, and that is the beauty of being, and I think so many people, when they become celebrities, that's the most thing they miss, the real world. That's why, like, people like Michael Jackson try to disguise just to blend in. Chris Rock came to town, someone told me, he tried to hide his disguise, but someone recognized him. So it sort of put them in a prison from being who they are apart from their job.
Well, and you know, I think there's kind of a difference when you live in an environment where there are many celebrities that you encounter on a daily basis.
Yes.
And I think the New Yorkers, what they do, they kind of respect the boundaries of that. So, for example, if you see someone, and I've seen many people, and some of them were very gracious, you know, to meet them and everything like that, and others were kind of distant. But New Yorkers always respected those boundaries. And I can think of a couple of celebrities that I've had encounters with, and they were just the most gracious people that I met as basically as a stranger. Tony Bennett is one of them, you know, that comes to mind. The names are just kind of going through my head. Loretta Swit was another. And George Costanza's father, who escapes my memory, he was one of the most gracious, kindest people that I had ever met as well. Yeah.
Well, I think we had a great conversation. I'm sure it helped someone to get a different insight of who Godfrey Freeman is in his own words. So if there's any final words in summary you'd like to say to someone at home, the young man from Dayton that went abroad.
I would just say, follow your dreams, no matter what they are. Wherever they lead you, you'll be a lot richer for the experience.
Heard it here on KISS. Keep it simple, sir.